Hey everybody, welcome back to our movie review. Hope you guys been enjoying the content on the channel as of late. Excuse me if I speed through this. This is literally like the third or fourth time that I've tried to record this. And it's going on midnight, yeah, so I just need to get this done. Um, so the film that we're going to be discussing today is a film called Dandelion. And the reason why I went out to see this was because I saw a preview for it while watching Ghostlight, because they're both IFC films. Um, Forgive me, I don't know the cast involved, but I know that it's directed by Nicole Riegel, who sounds familiar. When I saw the name pop up, it sounded familiar, um, but doesn't really, there's no real film that comes out, but it's just the name sounds familiar. But this follows a girl named Teresa, and she is a struggling artist. She is striving to be a singer, and she's having not much luck. Many of her gigs are quite meaningless. A lot of the surrounding, audience, people who are watching her just don't seem to really care about what she's doing. So she's kind of just pretty much in the background, and her existence, at least to how she sees it, is rather purposeless. She also is attending to her mother, who has fallen ill, and in that front, she also feels rather purposeless there, for her mother is not, doing her treatments correctly, and so she's a bit of a lost soul, and she catches wind of a music meetup, I guess you can call it, in South Dakota, and quite a abrupt way of getting to that point of when she gets to South Dakota, I must add. But she eventually gets in South Dakota, and she meets a guy, and these two start to form a bond that forms into something romantic. Um, and their connection through that is that of music. And the film illustrates their love for each other, or at least this fling event that is there, um, that it ultimately is, through that of music, as the film has many sequences of where these characters just sing, and their expression of how they feel on the inside is represented through the songs that are crafted both together and separately, um, and to illustrate what is happening within them, to hopefully provide depth to the circumstance. Um, but what you get largely, I think, with Dandelion, which I think is an issue with Dandelion, is that a lot of what I say sounds very unique and very interesting. But what you get for a large portion of its time is a film that is more concerned with the technical and less to do with the emotional state, or less to do with the emotions that uh, can be uh, can be discovered. Um, and it has a interesting visual presentation. It kind of borrows that from Terrence Malick in terms of just the varieties and shots and the floaty like quality, of its framing. I mean, it illustrates that because it's a film that is about dreams, and it's about, um, living in that sort of sphere. And the filmmaking illustrates that. Um, and dreams are can be interpreted in many fashions. I mean, obviously, in the manner of Teresa's character, it's about her passions, and it's about what she wants out of life. Whereas for the other person, it is just living in the moment, and inhabiting that orb and that euphoria, and in turn, the film is just illustrating this idea of dreams itself, and floating around it, I must say. But as I said, it's just more technically interesting than emotionally. And what it narratively also does is devolve because of just the circumstance that is at play. It's a very narrow relationship, and in that, what you get is a lot of questions in terms of responses to revelations that aren't really revelations, in my opinion. More or less with Teresa, where I just don't understand why she feels at some, because it's just a love story. It's not a spoiler to say that there's a betrayal at some point, and it's just like, I don't quite understand why you would be so upset because this circumstance was laid out to you. So it's just, I don't understand how you would be so upset. You understand that you are essentially a side piece. I mean, that sounds very degrading, but that's ultimately what the deal was. You know, it was not vocalized in that manner, but pretty much what is literally in reality. I mean, I don't understand. And, to some extent, maybe the film is just playing on that idea, dreams versus reality. But, the issue that I take with it is that I just don't feel that duality or feel, that approach. It's just, I feel more or less the technical and less the emotional. It's a very um, large portion of its time, it's a very mechanical film, and I think it really works against it. So I think aesthetically it's interesting. I think that technically it's interesting. I think that obviously the music is really great, but the issue with that music is that firstly it's muffled, so I can't really hear a lot of what's literally being said. I understand visually what is being utilized for, but I just quite literally cannot hear what they're saying at points. But the problem with the music is that it is just there. It is just music. It is not stuff that enriches its story. It's just huge blocks of them just singing. It's just kind of a standalone element and not necessarily an element that deepens our understanding of these characters. It just gives us a surfaceable insight to their emotional state. When they play calmly, obviously they're calm. When they play more passionately, obviously they're angry. Like it's just kind of like, okay, I get what's going on, but what else do you got? And the film doesn't have much outside of that. And it's just it's it's very surfaceable. I didn't have a bad time watching it. Like I said, I think that there's interesting things happening in the frame. I think halfway through, I felt tonally it was pleasant, but as I said, it starts to devolve, and it just like I don't understand why the characters why both characters feel the need at some point to have this breaking part. It's like when the betrayal happens, there's these two characters express like the results of that betrayal. They're both reacting the same, and I just don't understand why. You know, because on one side of the coin, it's like you understood the deal, you understood what this dynamic was, and then on the other side of that, it's like I just don't understand what you expected from her. You know, if she was to not understand this deal, I just you know stuff like that is muffled. Stuff like that is just or not muffled. What's the word I'm looking for? Like stuff like that is just just like I don't understand what the drama is. It's like the deal was always laid out. So like I said, very narrow-minded in terms of how it approaches this relationship, and narratively it runs rather thin as a result, because ultimately the characters are selfish. I mean, they're very selfish. They act on their own interest, and the character, I mean, Teresa. I mean, her character for a large portion of it at the time is self-driven. I mean, that's all she really, for the large time of the film, is caring about. I mean, she pretty much abandons her mother for her own interest. And it's just like, where am I supposed to really care? I just, I don't know. So I think that in terms of the filmmaking, the craftsmanship that's there, I think that there are some interesting elements. I like I guess you could say the pitch, the concept of utilizing music, using that as a forefront element, and not like devolving to that like a musical, but just having music be a key component to crafting this romance. I think it's I think it's interesting. I just don't think that it's utilized to its full potential and really being complementary to the other elements at play and making it so to where it's more deep, and more enriched. It's just very surface and very, very, very just narrow in terms of my understanding and my overall sympathy for this relationship. it's just like any person who understands this dynamic and understands their circumstance, it's just like you'd probably react the same as me. It's like, why do you feel that this is a betrayal, or why is this and that? It's just like you understood what was going on. So what's the big deal? So I enjoy the first half, but then that second half definitely just turns into something that I feel is a bit like, I guess you can say it's a contrast between being in a dream and then being out of that dream, but um, but it just doesn't inform rather than just like I said, devolve. Um, so yeah, so technically interesting, but narratively pretty thin. And performances are fine. They're fine for what they are, but mainly they're just singing. So it's they're good singers. But as I said, it's just like this. Generally, the vibe of the film is thin. In terms of what is being pushed on you, like the elements, it's more or less the technical, and it's less to do with the other parts of it of this production, the performances, the story. All that's kind of sitting in the background, kind of a whisper. And I wish that it was a lot more louder and a lot more pronounced, but it's not. So, so yeah, so that's my thoughts on Dandelion. I thought it was okay. It's not anything terrible, nothing annoying. It's very surfaceable, so it's just okay. Nothing great, nothing bad, just eh. So, see, guys, what are your thoughts on Dandelion if you guys have seen it, and just if you guys are familiar with Nicole Regal, I'll look her up after this video. Just that name sounds familiar, but yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And that's gonna be it for this video, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in, and until then, I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye. Oh my goodness, talk about perfect timing. Wow, that was perfect timing. So, anyways, guys, thank you guys for tuning in, and until then, I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye.